Hi, my name is Mary Biesinger, and I am here to talk to you today about the first of the 5 key elements of Vanguard. That element is the principle that everyone has a God-given mission. Now, you can talk about it from different frames of reference. People believe in different higher powers, different creators. Viktor Frankl put it this way. He was a man who survived the concentration camp, had a really horrible life, but he still had an amazing impact on the world because of his optimism. And he said this: everyone has his own specific vocation or mission in life. Everyone must carry out a concrete assignment that demands fulfillment. Therein he cannot be replaced, nor can his life be repeated. You can hear this message throughout all the world. You can hear people talking about how they need someone to do this cause, or someone feels desire and passion to do this particular vocation in life. But I think the most powerful is you can see it in the eyes of each mother as they hold their new baby and they think about that child and think of the potential it has to make a difference in the world. Now, we talk about missions. I would like to clarify in this topic. So many times when people talk about missions, they talk about one specific mission, like my mission in my life is to go to this village in Africa and help them dig wells. I believe my concept of a mission is much broader than that. My concept of a mission involves a person's whole life. It involves all the elements that come together to play into this creation of this mission. So, for instance, my mission is in a huge way to be a mother and a wife in our family. So mother and wife are part of my mission. But there's also other things that are part of my mission. I am also a teacher. I'm a creator. I do some humanitarian work. I do these different things that are all part of what my personal unique mission is. And I do believe that it is directed by a God who has a good idea of where I can best put my talents and best address my resources so that I can make the greatest impact possible and find the greatest happiness in my life. Now, we need to believe that each one of the people we work with in our lives has this potential. This can be frustrated over time. Like if you are experience repeated frustration with a particular individual and you keep running into obstacles, you tend to start looking at all their shortcomings and their faults and their failings. And it can be really damaging to your position as a mentor or a parent or a teacher. You need to believe that each one of these people, everyone in the world, has a unique God-given mission. Even if their mission is for one person. I had a beautiful friend who shared this with me years ago. And she said, well, what if, we were talking about missions, and we have missions to do this, and we have a mission this way. And she said, well, what if our mission is just to change the life of one person? And she had a son who was struggling with his learning abilities. And she devoted hours of research and time with him to help him to assimilate into society and be a functioning person. And she said her mission is very important, and it was to help this one person. So I love her perspective on that each mission can be different and unique and in wonderful and beautiful ways, complementary with other people's missions, but everyone has one. Michelangelo, the great sculptor, he put it this way, and I love how he put it. In every block of marble I see a statue as plain as though it stood before me, shaped and perfect in attitude and action. I have only to hew away the rough walls that imprison the lovely apparition, to reveal it to the other eyes as mine sees it. So basically, Michelangelo, he finds this statue, he finds this big piece of rock, and what he sees is not a piece of rock like I would see. I would just see a rock standing there. But he sees something within that rock. And the cool thing about this idea is that it's already within the rock. He believes that shape and that formation is within the rock itself. And that his job is not to create it, but his job is to unveil it. And I feel like that's an important role of mentors in the Vanguard Youth Method or anywhere else, is that as mentors, you are there to help unveil the genius and the greatness and mission. Help them to discover the rawness and the greatness within themselves. And so what we do in Vanguard is there's a couple things that we implement to help the youth to catch a vision of their own God-given missions. So, and we'll do videos if we need to on these different activities, if we need to. But the first important thing, I believe, is devotionals. Now, I have had different groups with people of different faiths, and we've talked about inspirational, common core beliefs that can strengthen us and uplift us and edify us. Devotionals help us to think about where we stand in life, connect us with the divine, make sure that we're in tune with where we're going in life. And that's essential, I think, in every class that we have in Vanguard, is that you have a devotional, something to set the stage, something to give them opportunity for meditation, for prayer, to realize there's a power and a presence greater than themselves, that they're responsible to with their lives, and also that has vested interest in them and what they're doing in their life. So devotionals are very important. The second thing, a thing that we want to use in Vanguard in order to help them to realize that they have a God-given mission, is to expose them to greatness. This is so fun. There are so many great people and ideas that are very inspiring. We came across one of a gentleman who rode a bike in crazy places. He devoted hours and hours and hours to riding a bike and did these insane moves with his bike, and it really inspired my young men to think, or probably some of the young women, but mainly the young men, to think, wow, I can do different things that maybe are outside the box, things that people didn't believe were possible before, as they watched this man on the bike. I'd like to share a couple of examples of people who did this. One was Kevin Hall. He wrote this book, Aspire, and he relates an account of a man that he saw in a marathon. Kevin Hall was running this marathon, and he noticed that this man just kind of started weaving through everyone else, going pretty fast, and there was a gentleman right next to him, and they would weave parallel to each other. Excuse me. And as they weave parallel to each other, he noticed, or he made this comment later to someone, saying, "Who is that?" And he said he was a blind man who ran marathons. Talk about thinking outside the box. That this man who could be limited by his lack of vision, actually was running marathon after marathon after marathon, using, with the help of other people, but really fulfilling this seemingly impossible dream and inspiring other people with it. Another gentleman I'd like to talk about is a man, I believe his name is Gary, and when he was a child, he was moving around a lot with his mother and with his stepfather. And when he was just 6 years old, he lived with them in Germany. And his mother would praise him. Like I mentioned before, mothers, they look at their children, they see this potential in their child. And his mother would say, well, he said about his mother, she would hold my hand and teach me how to make strokes with crayon and pencil. Said Gary, she frequently told me I had a gift. She praised me and assured me that I would create great works of art. Well, this man, unfortunately, woke up one night to screaming, and that night he saw his stepfather shoot his mother and kill her, and then turn the gun on himself. And he was really struck by this. It really affected him. But he went on from that, remembering that vision that his mother had for him, and he went on to become a great and powerful sculptor who just impacted the lives of millions. He said, I wouldn't change my life. I, like Viktor Frankl, am an optimist. There is not one thing I would change in my life or cancel during those years of tragedy and suffering. Why? Because I like who I have become and what I am blessed with and enjoy on a daily basis. Any pain or past suffering has helped me mold and form me into a person who can promote good in the world. Through my awareness as an artist, I create sculpture that lifts and inspires others. Think about that. Think about that as youth read these articles and these stories of people, how that can make them tap into, wow, what does my mom see when she sees me? Or what does God see when he looks at me, and what can I become? I can't emphasize that enough, that this is an essential part in helping them. Because what you're trying to do with Vanguard is you're trying to unlock this. You're trying to say, okay guys, you have amazing potential to do something with the world. And because you do, you need this amazing education. If they don't realize that they have a mission, they can care less about the tools they'll need to fulfill that mission later. This is an essential first step on that. I'd like to quote another thing from Kevin Hall. He said this about the need to look ahead with our visions and our desires. We are the ones who determine our vision. We decide what we want, what we dream about, what we set our sights on. Gandhi saw a free India. It didn't matter that no one else did. He did. We are free to choose our dreams. There are no limits. Personal prosperity, professional master, athletic perfection, family fulfillment, enriching relationships, peace and tranquility, health and wellness, selfless service, leave a legacy. If we can envision it, we can achieve it. I believe this wholeheartedly, that if we can envision these things, we can achieve it. And as we can envision this in our youth, then they catch a vision like, really? They think that of me? Little words, as we're mentoring them, as we expose them to greatness, we say, that's a great job, you did great. Supporting them in what they do. As they bring to class their different inspirements, validate them and say, wow, you've done a great job taking that first step and presenting today. We need to make sure that we are taking every opportunity that we can to expose them to greatness and doing good things. I think that's all I wanted to cover today with this topic. I want you to think about people that you are mentoring. Do they know that you see greatness in them? There are 5 love languages that you can use. Words of affirmation, service, things you can implement in order to help them to see their greatness. Think about someone today that needs to hear that they are great, that needs to catch this vision of greatness within themselves, that needs to think, I have something that I can achieve in this life. If someone has that passion, there's nothing you can do to stop them. If they have that vision, they will do anything it takes. There is a story I want to share in here. I forgot about this Olympic person who, his name is Peter, and he was ended up being a gold medalist, and he determined that he wanted to be a gold medalist when he was, I think, 11 years old, and he started training. So, at the age of 12, he started training. And what they would do is, they would train at the gym, they would have 6-hour intense workouts. Then afterwards, when everyone would go home, he would sit there, and he would envision the perfect routine. It's a gymnast, I'm sorry, not a swimmer. He's a gymnast, so he would envision the perfect routine, and he would go through it in his mind. He and his friend would do that. And then they would envision what it would feel like to be standing on the top as a gold medalist in the Olympics. They would envision that every day. Every day for 12 years they envisioned that. Now that's a lot of work. And that's what some of our youth are going to need to do to achieve their missions. It's going to be years of work. We can't lie to them and say, oh yeah, you have a God-given mission? You're ready, let's go. You need to tell them you have a God-given mission and you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to grow through this process, and I'm here to help you with that God-given mission. And then you need to help them visualize it. You need to help them think, what does this look like? What does this think like? Or what is a person who does this think like? The final thing, sorry, I thought I was done, expose them to greatness, but then also help them, give them opportunities to reflect. Reflection is a very important process. And I will go into the 4R method on another time. But reflection, journaling, contemplation, just some time at the end of the Vanguard period to sit and think, what did I learn today? How am I different? How am I better today? Or what things inspired me today? Give them, I love music in the background. Meditation is fantastic. These are just great things that we can do in order to help our youth to realize that they have great God-given missions. There's one more quote that I wanted to, well, I'm not going to use the quote. I'm just going to tell you briefly. Stephen Covey, he said that he wants to live life in crescendo. He wants to live so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and always with a bigger vision. He said, it means that your greatest work and contribution is always ahead of you. It's about contribution, not achievement. Achievement has an end, and contribution never stops ending. And I know that as we teach them to be great, find their God-given mission, and be contributors, that there's nothing that our youth won't do to achieve those ends and become great service-oriented leaders. So, see you next time.